Welcome to your restorative practice. Let's get comfortable. You could be seated, you could be lying down. We're just going to come into our breath, settle into our bodies, and then we'll start to set up different shapes. So truly let yourself be comfortable. Maybe that means you're lying down. Maybe that means you're sitting in a chair. You can certainly sit on the floor like I am, but I do recommend sitting on a prop if you're coming down to the floor so that your spine doesn't have to work so hard. If you'd like to, you could close your eyes. Maybe just soften the gaze. Start to become aware of your breath. Notice this inhale. Notice this exhale. So we will have a specific breath practice today. It's going to be a 4-count inhale and a 6-count exhale. I'll count it out for us. We'll do it about 5 times. If I'm counting too fast or too slow for you, just ignore my counting and find your own comfortable pace, counting in for 4 and exhaling for 6. To begin, let's empty all the air out of the lungs. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go of that counting. Allow your breath to return to normal. We'll start to set up our first shape. So typically when you come to a restorative practice, hopefully you're used to by now having lots of pillows, blankets, even having your restorative practice be something you do in bed is absolutely welcome and definitely feasible. So props are welcome. Highly encourage using props, and getting yourself as comfortable and as still as you can in each shape is one of the goals. And this is especially true with today because we're going to work on things that tend to be pretty tight for most of us, which are hips and knees, and even a little bit of ankle stuff in there too. So let's start out by coming down into restorative bridge pose. That's going to be a preparatory pose for what's to come next. So I want you to first notice how the hips are feeling in this shape. And then we'll sort of progress into this a little bit deeper. So come to your back, lay down, plant your feet, knees are bent. And then you're just going to slide something underneath your pelvis, such as a block, a stack of blankets, couch cushion if you have it. And so you're elevating your hips a little bit. And this is going underneath the base of your pelvis, so like right at the top of where the glutes begin. Not necessarily your low back, because I don't want your back to be really arched. I want your low back to be relatively long. Yes, it's a little elevated, but it's not overly crunched. And from here, you can choose to stretch the legs out long. That's going to work a little bit deeper into those hip flexors and maybe even feel a little bit of a stretch across the quadricep muscles. Maybe, not a promise. And we're going to take about 3 minutes here just to start to settle in. So here's our timer, 3 minutes. If you need to make any minor adjustments, go for it, but then see if you can settle into stillness. For the remaining time, try to relax all the muscles around the hips, the glute muscles, quadricep muscles, hamstrings. Try to relax your toes. Come back to focusing your attention and awareness on your breath. And you might even here count your breath. 4 counts to inhale, 6 counts to exhale. Just explore counting that out for yourself. Take one more breath where you are. And then if your legs are stretched out, start to bend the knees, plant the feet. Just take a moment here, maybe sway your knees side to side. You could do that with or without the prop underneath the pelvis. If the prop is underneath the pelvis, press down into your feet, lift your hips up, and then slide that out of the way. And then we're just going to take a moment here, about 3 breaths, to find a neutral position in the spine and the pelvis. So you could walk your feet wide and let your knees knock in towards each other, or you could just stretch the legs out long. And then take 3 breaths. Well, come up to a seat for a few moments because I want to give you 2 options for this next shape and take a moment to honestly assess first how your ankles, then how your knees, then how your hips feel in this first option. Because if you know that you cannot deeply flex the knees and that the ankles can't extend, right? So they're flexed in this position. If you can't fully point them and then kind of sit back with a flat ankle, then this next shape is going to be a pretty big barrier to entry. So I want you to honestly assess what's going on in your ankle and knee. And so if this all feels okay, like if you're sitting back on your heels with the top of the feet flat, toes are pointing straight back behind you, and you feel like you could sit here for a few minutes, then what you're going to do is extend your left leg forward. I'll turn around so you can see this from the other side. So you extend your left leg forward, and you're going to sit both of your sits bones down onto the mat. So I'm not putting any body weight on my right heel. And my sits bones are down onto the mat. I can add height underneath my sits bones to decrease that flexion in the knee. So maybe I put a cushion underneath my knee. And from here, we can lay back maybe, right? If it works for us. So whatever's going on with the legs, make sure it's sustainable. That feels okay on the ankle, knee, and hip. And then maybe you add some more support underneath your back. You could certainly turn around and like put your elbows on a couch or chair even. And then so you might lean back. You might come all the way to your back with or without props. I have a couple of pillows underneath my back. And to me, this feels like a pretty intense stretch on that quadricep muscle on the right side. But I'm not in agonizing pain, right? I can breathe deeply. I can relax into this. So that's the first level of truth, right? If this isn't possible, even with all these props behind you, even sitting upright, and you're like in excruciating pain, then here is your shape. Because I do not want you ever to be in excruciating pain in a restorative practice or actually any yoga practice that you ever do with me. So if we need an alternative, then we're going to take wide-legged low lunge. So the right leg is going to be back because we're working on this right hip flexor and quadricep muscle. Left foot is forward. We're in a low lunge, right? So maybe there is a couch in front of us that we can walk our elbows down onto, or a bolster. All right, so one of these two options, settling in. See if you can find stillness. And now I'm going to set us a timer for 3 minutes. 3 minutes on the clock. Start to see if you can deepen the breath here. Relax a little bit more completely. Maybe come back to that breath ratio. 4 counts to inhale, 6 counts to exhale. What typically happens, especially if we're really tight in the hips, is that tension will kind of rise up into the shoulders, into the neck, into the jaw. So see if you can consciously make an effort to relax your upper body. Start maybe with the space around the eyebrows. See if you can relax there. Space around the mouth, the jaw, the teeth. See if you can relax there. And you relax your shoulders down your back. Keep that slow, steady belly breath. And you're a little bit over halfway through. Take one more breath where you are. If you're coming from that wide-legged low lunge, that on hands and knees, take your time and maybe you just lay down on your belly, or there's always the option of taking a child's pose or even cat and cow. If you're coming from this half saddle position, is what it's called, then sit up nice and slow, roll all the body weight off to your left hip, all the body weight off to your left hip, and then extend your right leg forward. And it's kind of nice to just wave the feet side to side here, give the legs a little shake out. Let some blood flow back in. You could also lay down on your back. We'll take about 3 more breaths, whatever you're doing in between. Please try not to be in a hurry to get off to your second side. It's really important, actually. There's this residue or echo after you release out of a shape, where a lot of benefits are received in the body. There's a nervous system integration. There's actually physiologically a rush of circulation, blood flow, oxygenated blood flow into the joints that you just compressed. So take the time to let that wash through the body. And then we can start to set up our second side. So again, truth levels, you might need something different on this side. It might not work the same way as it did. If you have a knee injury on one side or ankle injury on one side, that flexion or extension might not be possible. And that's okay because you can get the same benefit of the shape either way, right? We're working on lengthening quadricep muscles and hip flexors. And so these two options, they both do that job. So don't feel like you're not as successful if you're choosing one or the other. And that's why I give you options so that you know you're successful no matter what you choose, as long as you're choosing from a place of truth, like honoring your body, recognizing where you're at, and you're not holding yourself in, an unbearable pain. Never, ever would I want you to have experienced. If you're taking that half saddle, just take a peek at your left foot. Make sure those toes are pointing back behind you. The top of the foot is flat, so your ankle is in extension. And then maybe you lean back a little bit. You could also just set your elbows up on top of a couch if it's behind you. That's certainly a very viable option. What happens if you get closer to the ground is actually you put your spine in a bit of a back bend. So if that's something you're wanting or craving, and if your knee and your ankle joint are happy here, then you might lay all the way back down. Otherwise, hopefully you know that that wide-legged low lunge with your right foot forward and your left foot back is a really great option instead of this. We have 3 minutes, whatever shape we're choosing. As you settle in here, notice how you're feeling on this side, if it feels a lot different. And also, it might feel similar, but maybe in different body parts. Different areas of the body might feel more sensational on this side or less sensational. Check in with your breath. You're well over halfway through. And you find a little bit deeper relaxation for these last few moments here. One more deep breath in, this long breath out, and then really mindful on your exits. Remember, it's important to go slow. If you're coming out of that half saddle, roll all that body weight onto your right hip so you can free your left leg without any body weight on that left leg. And then maybe you sway the feet out. You can do that from a seated position or lying back. If you're coming from that low lunge, you can just lay down on your belly. You could press back to tabletop or child's pose. Let's take about 3 breaths. All right, so we'll round out our practice with a nice gentle twist. So if you're not already there, meet me on your back. If you're laying down on props, you're going to want to move those out of the way, except for maybe take a blanket or pillow underneath the back of the head. That can be quite nice in twist, especially if your shoulders feel tight when you're twisting. So let's lay down on our back, hug the knees into the chest. If you're using something underneath the head, make sure it's just underneath the head. Rock a little bit side to side here. So options, we can take that right leg all the way on top of the left leg, like you're sitting cross-legged in a chair, and then turn your twist off to the left hip. That can be a pretty intense twist. So what I like to do is make my legs decrease the angle that my legs have to go all the way up to the left side. So I have a pillow underneath my outer left thigh and underneath my right knee. But if that's too much, then just simply stack the knees. You can always slide a pillow in between the knees as well. So with or without the legs crossed, knees off to the left. You're rolling all the way onto your left hip. Right arm stretching off to the right side. Big breath in. Nice long breath out. See if you can reconnect to your breath here. Very intentional breaths through your nose. Little bit shorter of a hold in our twist. We just have 2 minutes per side. Let's take one more breath here. When you're ready, you can start to unwind. As always, take your time with that. Spend a little bit of time in center, whether your knees are bent or your legs are straight. Deep breath in, long breath out. And then we'll set up our second side. So we'll cross option one, left thigh on top of right thigh. And if you're using props, send them off towards the right hip. And then you're tipping that all the way off to the right side. Left arm is extending off to the left. Or you're just giving yourself a simple stack of the knees. And still resting all the way, lower half of the body all the way off to the right. Upper body open towards the ceiling. Left arm stretching off to the left. And your head, by the way, just in case you're wondering, it can be facing really any direction. Some teachers are kind of adamant that if you want this big full twist, you're turning your head off towards your left side, right? So you're twisting your entire spine. That doesn't always work for everybody. Sometimes it's hard on the neck. I think it's completely fine to just focus on what the legs are doing, what the torso is doing, relaxing the shoulders down. The neck can be just kind of like an additive, an accessory. If you want to worry about it, you can. Otherwise, it's not necessary. Checking in on your breath. Let's take one more breath here. And then we'll start to unwind. We'll come on to our backs and we'll set up for a final rest. But if there's anything you need before you head there, before your final Shavasana, like happy baby is always kind of nice, or hugging your knees into your chest, or in your Shavasana, setting up so that the backs of the knees are supported. All of that can be quite nice. Once you're there in that last shape, relax the shoulders down the back, slightly tilt the chin in towards the chest. Big breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, exhale. Very gentle seal of your lips. Let it go, let it rest. Shavasana. If you have more time, feel free to stay where you are. And you can also certainly close out your practice here. I'm just going to lead us through 2 rounds of 4 to 6 breath ratio. If you want to do that from an upright seat, you can slowly start to make your way there. Otherwise, just stay on your back and focus on your breath. Let's empty all the air out of the lungs. Inhale to begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go of that. Normal breathing. If you wish, you can join your hands together at your heart and bow your chin into your chest, taking a moment to honor your practice with reverence and gratitude. May you remember that you will always be okay. May you find a light that guides you and keeps you safe. May you have hope, help, and happiness along the way. Namaste, yogis.